Now, Donald Trump's indicated that he will allow the release of secret files relating to the assassination of former US President John F. Kennedy. The final batch of government documents are scheduled to be made public on Thursday, 25 years after Congress classified them in a bid to quash conspiracies. Only the president is entitled to extend their secret status. Now, some government departments are thought to oppose the move on national security grounds, but Mr. Trump has tweeted that he'll release the documents subject to the receipt of further information. Now, what are we likely to find out? Our author and broadcaster Michael Goldfarb is with us now. Michael, what do you think is in these files?
Well, there's 3,100 files that are going to be released. It seems likely that there won't be anything earth-shattering. People who've made a lifetime study of the assassination and written books about it really expect to find out more about a critical sequence of events just before the assassination, when Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated President Kennedy, spent time in Mexico City and is reported to have met with Cuban officials and Russian officials. This has always been a kind of gray area. What was going on? Because at the same time that he was meeting, and it's the height of the Cold War, the Cubans and the Russians, he was being surveilled by the FBI and the CIA in Mexico City. So they must have known something was going on, and yet somehow he got back in the country, ended up in Dallas, and was able to take the fatal shots at John F. Kennedy. So people who've written books about it, that's what they want to know more about. There may be other things related to how CIA was involved in covert activities in and around the Caribbean at that time. And this may, just add more shade and nuance to understanding what was happening when the president was shot. And, nobody who studies it expects it to prove, actually, it was a vast conspiracy. People who think that will continue to think that. There won't be anything to change their minds.
So we might know a little bit more about Lee Harvey Oswald's movements. Now, we understand the CIA isn't entirely happy that these documents may be released. Might it show that they dropped the ball?
It's entirely possible that it will show they dropped the ball. It may show the ways, the tradecraft they were using, to use a John le Carré term, the tradecraft they were using to try and understand what was happening in Cuba after the Bay of Pigs, to understand just what was going on with Russia after Russia was forced to turn back its missiles during the Cuban Missile Crisis. CIA doesn't want that generally to be known. The reason that many of these files were kept secret, going back 50 years from the time of the Warren Commission, was that they were living, the agents who were running these operations were still alive. Presumably, most of them are dead. But it is true that the CIA Director, Mike Pompeo, has asked for some of these files to still be held back. The president said he won't, pending more information. And knowing Donald Trump, if he can get another 2 headlines out of it, he probably will.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see, because Thursday is the day that he has to make that decision. Now, I've read that the assassination of JFK was kind of the moment the American people stopped trusting their government as much. What effect might that have in terms of that issue if these files come out?
Well, I think this is an important thing to talk about, because, look, the Warren Commission conducted itself with a certain amount of secrecy, kept back all of these files. I mean, I remember being a teenager and thinking, how old will I be before these files are released? And now I'm that old. You cannot conduct these kinds of inquiries behind closed doors, because it leads to conspiracy theories, and then they marinate for half a century, and so you have hard and fixed viewpoints about conspiracies. Look, the same thing has happened in Britain with the Chilcot Report. How did we get to war in Iraq? Too much of it was redacted. Now, you have people who will never believe that Chilcot tells the whole story. Similarly, people will never believe the Warren Commission tells the whole story. And that's why governments should be open when they're investigating an event of this momentous nature.
If these files are released, do you think it will put the conspiracy theories to bed?
No. Once you've gone down that rabbit hole, you stay there. And there will be people who will be able to find, bits and moments of context that are missing. And in those moments of context that are missing, they'll say, see, we still don't know. It's a forever kind of world to inhabit.
All right, Michael Goldfarb, broadcaster and author, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much.